All right, welcome back to the Leafs the Lights On podcast with your host, Nicholas Principe.
And Luca Tersini.
Welcome back to episode 4. Today, like I said last week, it's actually going to be a shorter podcast
Yeah,
today.
this time it's actually going to be shorter. We're not lying to you guys this time.
Yeah, we're predicting like half an hour probably. Let's hope we can stick to that because we both got stuff to do, but it is what it is. So we're going to start off where we kind of ended off last week, talking about Jeremy Swayman because he just got signed. He just signed his contract, right? So it says here, 8 years, $66 million, which comes out to 8.25 per year, right? Now, as I said last week, I don't agree with it. I really don't agree with it. But hey, his agent did well, getting him more. It wasn't what we originally thought he wanted, but there was also that controversy saying that, he didn't know that it was $64 million beforehand, right? What are your thoughts on this? What do you take?
Well, like I said last podcast, this was going to happen. It was going to happen no matter if it was when it happened or sometime now. He was going to get the contract he wanted, and Boston was going to give it to him. It was only a matter of time. I see why you and some other people would say, that is, a high cap hit, and we talked about it last podcast. But like I also said last podcast, when you have a goalie like that and you're kind of stuck in a corner, you got to give him what he wants. So,
well, I wouldn't say stuck in a corner. I mean, he is still restricted, so the ability to trade him and off to another team would have been there. Right, they would still be able to get something from him because he's not going to sit out the whole year, right? But yeah, no, I don't agree with it. I get what you're saying. He's an absolutely spectacular goalie, but 8.25 in my opinion. I mean, he's 25, but 8.25 in my opinion is it's too much, man. Especially with the Bruins cap hit and everything. I don't know. I think they're gonna be struggling now for a couple of years because with the Pastrnak contract and the Lindholm contract, all those, both Lindholms, by the way.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be difficult for them, but I think they're gonna be a good team, honestly. I think Swayman's gonna have another outstanding year like he did last year. Hopefully, getting to play more than 50-something games. Actually, maybe almost touching 60, maybe. Hopefully, so he can prove to me and the other people who doubt him that. He's deserving of it because right now I just don't think so. I can't get behind paying a goalie 8.25 when he hasn't played 50, 60 games. He hasn't been the only starting goalie on that team.
now I think, like you said, now I think he has the chance to show that he can carry a load by himself, right?
Plus.
I think, all right. But you know what I mean, right? It was always Ullmark and Swayman, but now it's just him. Like Korpisalo, we said he's not a bad goalie.
No, not at all.
Right now in his career, he's a backup, right?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of said before that Boston was kind of stuck in the corner because they didn't have a solidified number one, out and out number one guy, right?
Yeah.
It's fortunate for them that the past couple of years they've been able to have two of those guys, right? But now I think Swayman can finally be that number one and not have to share time with another goalie, right?
Yeah. Barring any injuries, obviously.
Yeah, injuries, obviously, that could happen. It's a sport.
Part of the
Injuries
game, yeah.
But I think now he has a chance to prove why he's worth that amount of money without having to split games with another, 1A, 1B type situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of hope he does. I hope he does have a great year because he's been a great goalie. Obviously, I don't like Boston. But
From a Leafs perspective, I was
yeah,
going to say, hopefully he doesn't play good.
From a Leafs perspective, I hope he doesn't play good. But from an actual hockey fan standpoint,
yeah.
I hope he has a great season. I still don't agree with it, but prove to me why you deserve it, buddy. All the power to you, man. I don't know. I can't get behind it.
That's enough of Boston. That's
yeah.
enough of Boston.
No more Boston talk for today because, Boston. But yeah, so preseason's over for Toronto at least. I don't know if anybody else has some games remaining.
I think
but
that's it.
For Toronto, it's done. And we're looking to tomorrow where they face off against Montreal in the first game of the season. Now, before we get into that game and how we think it could go, we might as well break down the last game of the preseason as well as talk about the roster going into the first game. So, I don't know if you watched the last game.
Highlight some parts of it.
Okay. I watched it from start to end. I thought it was a really good game. Obviously, Detroit didn't play their starters. Kopp had a really good game. But besides that, they didn't really play their starters, right? And we kind of struggled a little bit, as we usually do in the first period. I think it was going into the second, it was like 2-1. But we weren't playing bad by any standards. And even in the second period was a great period because we shut them down. I think from the 5 minutes into the second period to like 12 minutes into the third, didn't have a shot. So we played solid defense, and I like to see it. And it wasn't another high-scoring game. Like, we weren't going into the third period 5-5.
3-2, right?
It finished 3-2,
final, right? Yeah, so.
And I think the third goal was scored like within 10 minutes left in the third, like in the last 10 minutes. So, you know, a good win, a gutsy win, comeback kind of. But it kind of shows that, I don't know, I'm a little bit worried because, like I said, they didn't play their starting team, but it was final game of the preseason. Matthews only played one game before then. Like, overall, I think it was a solid performance by the whole team. I don't really have much else to say about it, like, because it's preseason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not the same roster that's going into the year. But to finish the preseason on a win, I will happily take. And I do still think we played quite a good game for Toronto standards, at least.
Well, it's good. Like, even though it's the last game in the preseason, right, and they're pretty much ready to start the season, it was good to see, like, you know, Matthews and Johnny get on the board, right? Because you want to see those guys, even though it is preseason, you want to see those guys get back to where they were last year, right?
100%.
Like Matthews' goal, like, again, like, I didn't watch the full game, so I didn't really know their full performances, but, like, I saw the goals, obviously. Matthews
Yeah, that's
scores
typical.
that. Exactly,
Typical.
right? So you want to see that, and obviously with the other guys, too, and the depth guys that are probably going to be on this team, like Lorenz. Did Lorenz play?
Oh, yeah, he scored.
Yeah, he scored the first goal, right? Yeah,
yeah.
because Reeves made a nice play.
That was a great
So those
fourth
guys
line.
are going to play, and again, like, that's why you watch the preseason. So it's good to see that depth play well with the top guys, because that's what you're going to go into the season with, right? So,
No, absolutely. Like I like that. The fourth line performance kind of surprised me. I don't think we saw much of Lorenz throughout this preseason. I could be completely wrong because, like I said, I've only watched 2 games.
he's played
Yeah.
fourth line minutes, right?
True. Yeah, true. But you know what? He shone in that game.
Yeah,
Yeah, he made time. Like,
the minutes are worth it for him.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And for what he kind of brings on the fourth line with Revo, I like it. I'm kind of interested to see this fourth line now stay together because obviously, you know, people get bounced off the fourth line easily, minutes and everything. But I kind of like Lorenz, and I've always liked Revo. And now it's just adding that final piece of that fourth line, which I'm assuming is going to be David Kampf. Right? I'm assuming. All right.
Probably him centering that line, but obviously we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I
no,
got it
for
right
sure.
here,
but
but,
yeah, so finishing the preseason, Nick Robertson led with points. Well, all his points were goals, but he led with 5 in 4 games.
Yeah.
Very, very solid. Very, very good preseason. Pacioretty was then second with 5 points as well, 3 assists and 2 goals. And he now just got a contract, along with Steven Lorenz, for the
Congratulations.
rest of the season. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for joining us on this year ahead. Very tough year. Very, very tough year ahead.
But very good pickups that were needed,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think, right? And especially, actually, probably 2 of the guys that we brought in, like, because they were both PTOs, right? Obviously, they both deserved the contracts that they got. Obviously, it's nothing much. It's 1-year deals for a low amount, but that's what these guys are worth now in their careers, right? Lorenz is worth that, and Pacioretty's older, so he's going to take that, right?
Oh, for sure.
And they're totally deserving of it, right? It was good that they played good. Again, Pacioretty, even if he didn't have the preseason that he did, I think he would still be on this team.
I agree, yeah.
Just because we needed somebody there. But it helps that he was tied for point leader in the preseason, right? So
Yeah, he proved he deserved that contract.
yeah, exactly.
Lorenz as well, like I said.
Yeah.
Both of them played very, very well during the preseason and very deserving of that contract. Cade Weber also signed 2-year extension. We're not going to talk too much about him because
It's a a depth move, young guy, right? Hopefully we develop him. He's a big guy, right? So it's a defenseman that you want. If he develops properly, then good. If he develops like Liljegren, then bad.
So we might as well speak on Liljegren because obviously we'll touch on the lineups in a second, but somebody's going to get moved from this team, especially after these signings, right? Now, Yarncroke's been placed on LTIR. Who else has been placed on LTIR? Hakanpää, obviously.
Dewar's on IR.
Dewar's on the IR. Minton's on the IR. So there's going to be some moves, obviously. And now, who do you think? Because I think it's going to be either Liljegren or Yarncroke. In my personal opinion, not because I don't like them, just the way that our team is progressing, I don't think Liljegren fits our system at all. And he hasn't proved that he's worthy enough to keep even in another system.
Yeah.
And I might be saying this because I don't like Yarncroke, but I don't think Yarncroke fits the lines either. I just don't think so.
The thing about, is Liljegren for me? For the simple reason is I was looking more into this, especially the past couple of days. We gave this man, I think it was a 2-year extension for $3 million.
Yeah.
The lines at this morning's practice have Liljegren out of the top
7.
pairings
Yeah.
with Timmins in his spot, which
Okay.
we've had a lot of conversations about Timmins maybe not being on this team just because he's making a not high cap hit. I think he's only at like 1.2 or something like that, just over 1 million. So he's definitely expendable. But if you have Timmins playing over him, especially he's making 3 million, I just don't understand why you would give him the contract in the first place then. Like, I know he was restricted free agent, but 3 million for a guy that might not even crack the opening night roster. Like, shouldn't be on your team. You cannot have 3 million sitting in the press box. I'm sorry. Especially on our team where we need cap badly. 3 million could work wonders.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I think the whole thing with Liljegren is that since we brought him in, we've been hyping him up to be our next right-sided defender, right? Like, he's only, 23, 24? Like, he's not old, right?
Yeah, around that.
He's definitely still in his younger 20s. So, going from 19 to 22, everybody kind of believed, maybe he
25, yeah.
He's 25. Okay, so he's still young. Same age as Swayman, right? Still young, time to go either way in their career, right? I don't think Liljegren will do that much with his career, though. I could be completely wrong, and all power to you, like Timmy, but I don't think he will. And like you said, 3 mil is way too much for a team like Toronto to hold on to in the press box. Like,
Exactly.
it's not worth it. He needs to go. I just personally think he needs to go. And the reason why I also say Yarncroke is because Yarncroke's another 2 mil. You get rid of both of them somehow, right, for whatever the heck it may be, and you don't bring on too much cap, or you bring on somebody who's going to make the lineup, it's a good move, right? There's 5 mil right there sitting between two players that are so far, especially with Yarncroke being injured, not touching your lineup,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like, we might as well touch on the lineup so we can also bring this into perspective, right? What do you have the lineups
Okay,
for?
so this
for opening night?
morning's practice for the season opener was Nyes, Matthews, and Marner, which
Typical.
is expected.
Typical.
Domi, Tavares, and Nylander, which a lot of people knew that would go back to normal.
Yeah.
Tavares would go back to the second
Yeah,
spot.
we also talked about that
right.
last week.
We got Pacioretty, Holmberg, and Robertson,
Okay.
and then we got Lorenz, Kempf, and Reeves.
Okay, so the fourth line that we said.
So
yeah.
the fourth line that we said, and then a very
Jumbled third line, we'll say.
yeah, but that was also expected too, right?
No, for sure, for sure. You said Holmberg centering that line, yeah?
Yeah, the only
Okay.
thing is, which again, I like him, kind of. McMahon is sitting out,
Yeah.
and Robertson, and I guess Pacioretty is in a spot right now. I guess you can say,
Well, technically Domi's
or
in this
Domi,
spot.
yeah,
but
Domi. But I think that's a smart move. I think Robertson has deserved it more for him to actually finally play on the roster. And you know what? The thing is that like other years, like we said before, he either plays or he's not on the team,
Yeah.
right? Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
no, yeah.
So if you send him back down, you can't because he's going to go through waivers and somebody will definitely pick him up.
100%.
And then obviously if he's not going to play, he's going to go back to wanting to get the hell out of here, right?
Definitely.
Because if he's not going to play, there's no point. But no, I think the lines are pretty much what we thought they were going to be. There's not too much different. And then for defense, again, Riley, Tanev, Ekman, Larson, McCabe, which is the top four that
We expected, yeah.
we knew that was going to happen. And then Benoit, which is fine. And then Timmins, which we were talking about before, which is there instead of where Liljegren should be. But again, I think this more leans to a trade than we've ever seen so far.
Oh, 100%.
Like
No,
it's
No doubt.
impossible to have 3 million. And you know what the thing about Liljegren is too, is even though we don't like him, a team will pick him up and okay, we won't get a lot for him, but we'll get a good compensation for him because he's 25.
yeah.
He's a right-handed shot. He's an offensive defenseman, which a lot of teams look for, and he's at a
Reasonable.
good, reasonable cap hit, right? For 3 million. It's like 3 million for us is a lot, but for another team that can afford that, 3 million is like, oh my god, like we can. Hopefully, this guy has a higher ceiling than he showed so far.
Yeah.
Which again, he's been in our organization for so long. I think this is what you're getting out of Timmy Liljegren. I don't think he's getting better than this, unless hey, if I'm wrong,
All power to you, Timmy.
yeah,
Like,
right.
all
If
power
I'm
to you,
wrong,
buddy.
if you turn into the next Kel McCarr, which is highly unlikely, but if you turn into a valuable offensive defenseman, then good for you. But just so far on this team, you've had your shots, and it just hasn't been good. So again, he's got to go.
Yeah, he's had more than enough time to prove
More
himself.
than enough.
And it has not been enough. I don't think there's been one season where he's played with Toronto that I'm like, yeah, he had a good year.
Yeah, exactly. Me either. I like again. We've talked about his little streaks he's had. Like last year, we had like a 2-week streak where he scored a couple of goals. He played good.
Mm-hmm.
But then other than that, it's like this guy just goes back to playing like he's an AHLer again.
Yeah,
Like, he's not good.
He's warm and then freezing.
Yeah.
It's not even hot and cold. He's warm and then he's frozen.
Yeah, exactly. And the warm's only for like 3-4
Max
games.
a month throughout the whole season.
Not even. Right?
Right?
So, yeah, he's...
One thing, obviously, you don't like Bobby McMahon too much. Obviously, because he's a Leaf, we respect him. But you're not the biggest fan of Bobby. Honestly, watching him last game, I'm not the biggest fan of Bobby either anymore. I didn't like the way he played.
Doesn't do enough for me.
I'm not going based off one game, obviously, but I'm looking again at the way that he plays and the way that he played last game. And every time he made a mistake, which kind of happened not often, but it happened every other time he was on the ice.
Enough.
Yeah,
It happened enough. for
and
you to
every single
notice
time it happened, I was like, "This is why Luka doesn't like you." Obviously, like there's other reasons, but like he made so many errors, and I'm just like, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to not get behind it. Like I said, big body, and he's still decently young, probably same age as Liljegren, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 26.
Yeah, he's a little bit older, I think. But I think the last time we checked, I'll check right now. I
26
think
or
he's
27.
26, yeah,
Right.
something
So
like that.
again, he's not old. He's not a vet, but he's not starting his career off, right? Like
Yeah.
he may be starting. Oh, he's
He's
28.
28.
Okay.
So
A little bit older than I expected, but big body and the way that Berube's got the system going, it seems like big bodies are the way to go. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of him last game, and for him to get dropped for the opening night lineup, I kind of like it.
I don't like it at all.
Not even kind of. I really do like it. Like that third line where either Domi or him would probably be playing. You need Robertson, right?
you need a scorer down there. If the depth you need scoring depth. Excuse me, you need scoring depth. And Robertson has proven, in my opinion, even last year, even though he played like no minutes, that he can be your scoring depth if he's healthy. Right?
100%.
Healthy.
100%.
So yeah, you need a guy like that. McMahon, if you take away McMahon's 2 hat-trick games or whatever, and the little hot streak he had, which good for him. If he goes another hot streak, if he plays a couple of games, if he's back in the roster for the Leafs and he plays a couple of games, he plays good, then all power to you. Like we said, same with Liljegren, right? But it's just if you take away that, like what else that season did he really do to really
turn eyes, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
In my opinion, there was nothing. And again, like I said, is the reason why I don't really like him too much is because he took that opportunity away from Robertson. Because Keefe was always like, oh my God, this guy's a bigger body and he's on a hot streak, he's scoring a lot, right? So obviously I would play him over Robertson. But in my opinion, Robertson was always the better player. If Robertson was McMahon's stature, size, height, all of that, he would be...
Say it. I know what you want to say. I know what you want to say.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to say it just in case I'm wrong, but I know what you want to say.
No, I would just say, like, he would be one of the best players on this team. That's all I'm going to say.
I know
he's
exactly what you're thinking, too.
But you know what I'm trying to say, right? No, okay. I wouldn't go that far.
But similar.
But yeah.
Very similar.
Right?
Yeah.
Not Austin Matthews, but
Very
that's
similar.
what he is.
Same type of build. Nasty shot.
Exactly. Just get better defensively, develop defensively, become more aware in your own D zone and all that stuff, and he'll be a good player. Because even at the size he's at now, it's not like, okay, yeah, he's been injured a lot because of his size. But it's not like this guy is getting bullied around every single night, right? He's still scoring. He's still making plays.
Yeah.
So he can play in this league, even though he is under 6 feet.
Yeah, he's
right?
5'9", I believe.
Like, I'm 5'6".
Are
right?
you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am 5'6".
I think he's my height. I think Robertson's
I don't
my
know where
height.
I'm going with that. I'm 5'6". But no, my point is that he's not he doesn't look out of place. Even though he can play better, he does not look out of place, and that's all I'm gonna say.
No, I completely agree with you, and it was deserved. I mean, obviously, you can be like, oh yeah, he scored 5 goals. Of course he deserves it. But like even throughout the years, he's shown his progression. He's shown that he can do stuff with the puck that a lot of these players on Toronto can't do, especially down the lower end of the lineup.
With limited ice time as well,
With
right?
even more limited than some of the other players. Like I feel like he was more limited than players like Yarncroke last year. Players like
yeah, right?
I think even Holmberg probably played more than him, right? Obviously more games,
Yeah.
but even minutes as well. Like I didn't see Robbie as much as I wanted to, right? And I genuinely think he could. I don't think he's gonna crack the first power play, barring any injuries, obviously, to the top 4 guys.
Yeah.
But if he can not progress, but if he can continue this sort of streak and play the way that he's been playing with that little bit more aggression, maybe the second power play is going to be a dream too.
Well, the thing is, you say that, and I have the power play lines right here. So you got the usual Riley, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares as your first one.
Yeah.
But then you got Robertson, Domi, Pacioretty, Nyes, and Ekman Larson as your second. Like, that's not...
Very, very
That's
good
not bad.
second power play.
Just get the puck to Robertson and let him rip it.
Yeah. Get it
That's
to
literally
Robertson.
all you got to do.
Get Pacioretty in front of the net.
Pacioretty in front of the net. Nyes does his dirty work. Domi will probably be the bumper, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would assume.
Ekman Larson's going to be obviously at the point, quarterbacking it. Nyes, I still don't really know, but as long as... Oh, yeah, well, Nyes and Robertson will be your wingers, right?
Yeah,
but
for
just
sure.
give Robertson the puck, let him rip it. You're going to get goals.
No, 100%. Like,
Guy's shot is incredible.
should we give a prediction to how many goals we think Robertson could score?
Yeah, I'm
let's
down.
let's say he plays. Well, he's not going to play all 82, right? Let's just be real. He's probably not going to play all 82. Hope he does, but he probably won't. Let's say he plays 70 games.
I think
Still a lot.
His ceiling, I'm going to say right now, say 30 goals.
30.
30, 35 goals.
You know, if he gets 30, if he
Ceiling,
scores 30,
ceiling, though.
Ceiling, no, for sure. But if he scores 30 goals this year, it's going to be a big talk.
Well, think of it. Last year, how many did he get?
He got 26 points in 52 games or something like that.
Let me bring it up right now.
Something like that, no?
I swear,
Pretty sure
didn't
it
he
was
have
something.
close to? He had for the number of. I know he didn't
It
get
was
the
point-
20.
it was
he didn't get 20
0.5
goals. It was like he had like 14, 15 goals.
Yeah, I remember it was 26 points in 55 games or something like that. So, points-wise, he was 0.5 points a game
Yeah,
in 11
Nice.
minutes of ice time, I think, or like 10 minutes of ice time.
I got it right. So he finished with 14 goals,
Yeah.
13 assists in 56 games.
That's crazy for 11 minutes, no?
So he almost cracked. Yeah, and he averaged 11.23 a night, right? So I'm looking at that. I'm like, this kid almost cracked 20 goals, playing a little bit more than half the games, playing 11 minutes a night. The guy can't score 15 more.
No, I agree with you.
Right?
Honestly, I don't think 30. I think, like you said, 30 is definitely the ceiling.
Ceiling. Yeah.
If he gets more, great. But
Of course.
I'm thinking 24. I don't think he
Even
gets
around
25.
that, I'll take that.
Oh, absolutely.
For a depth scorer right now is what he's gonna be, used as. 25 goals is perfect,
No, absolutely.
right? I'm gonna use this as an example. As long as he scores more than Bertuzzi last year, I think we'll be fine. Because even though I wanted Bertuzzi back, he didn't start off the greatest with us. He eventually was able to play good enough to get to 21 goals. I think,
Something
he
like
finished with
that,
21
yeah.
goals. But if Robertson scores 25, 24 goals, fine by me, man. Fine by me.
100%, right? Like it's hard to take away from scoring 25 goals, right? Like you can't really
Yeah.
say much if he does it. Now, the ice time is what's going to be a problem, right? Because you got the top two lines, which are almost guaranteed, and unless Tavares starts slacking or Domi starts slacking, you're not going to drop one of them off the line. And if you will, you'll put McMahon back on that line because it worked, right? It was working somewhat last year,
Yeah.
even though he's not the greatest. It was working last year, right? But Robertson needs to kind of kick it up. He needs to be given more minutes, which we both agree with. But he's gonna have to kick it up in those minutes. Even
course.
even not even just points, just actual play style. Because he's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fiery player, but he
Yeah.
needs to play with more aggression and, like you said, better on the defensive end. And he could end up this year on that second line.
I'd not
I
be surprised at all.
I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
Even if Tavares gets dropped to the third and Domi's centering that line, I would not be surprised. Now, I don't want to see Willie centering that line. And we talked about that last week
He's not a
because
center.
he's not a center. Like
Doesn't make any sense in my mind.
Marner
why
was
they
a
keep
center on
trying it.
London too. Like doesn't
Yeah.
mean he's a center for the league.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to transition from an out-and-out winger to being a strict center, right? Because it just is, right?
Well, especially when they give him one game and it doesn't work, and they're like, "Yeah, just go back to wing."
Yeah.
You're never gonna develop a player like that.
I wonder if they even train him at the center properly during training. Like,
Like,
I
that-
think
I
they
don't
might
know.
just be like, yeah, okay, Willie, you're going to start the game at center, buddy. See how you do. Worst comes to worst, you put Johnny back. Like, I would
Yeah,
not be
like-
surprised if that's the case. And they're like, oh, we want him to be a center, but you're not training him like a center.
But that's the thing. Like the sample size is not there, and they keep like it feels like just like the Leafs every year, the whole repetitive thing of the same season basically all over again. It's starting off the same again. Last season, oh yeah, they're gonna try Nylander at center. After 2 games, they're like, yeah, he's going back to wing. The same thing happened now. He played the first preseason game at center, didn't look amazing.
No.
But now he's back to the wing. So it's like, what are we doing here? Just make up your mind. He's not a center. Don't
Yeah.
play him at center. Wing. That's it. He's a winger.
He could win you a face-off, but he's not a center. Yeah, like you said.
He's one of the best wingers in the NHL. Keep him there. There's no reason. I know, yes, Tavares is slower now. People might not see him as a legitimate second-line center anymore, which I have those opinions too. I think he's still a point-per-game player. He's an amazing player. But, yeah, he can't skate as good as he did 2-3 years ago. Everybody knows that. He's not the fastest skater anymore. He's slow. Let's give it up. He's a slow skater now.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we do not have the assets and the cap to get a legitimate second-line center that could skate better than him.
Yeah.
So we're working with what we have. That's why I wasn't against, even though he's not an amazing center either, playing Domi there and playing Nylander and Robertson, right? But they want to play Tavares up there. We'll see how he does up there and leave it at that.
Well, the one thing that I'm going to say against you here is the fact that I still think Tavares is a legitimate second-line center. Obviously, points per game, right? And he is getting slower. Regression is starting to be a little bit visible, right? We're starting to see it more. But you can't take away from a guy who's led the league in faceoffs.
Faceoffs wise, yes.
Right? You can't. There's nobody else that we can have in that center position on our team. Realistic, for now. Right? Like, for now, especially to start the season, coming off of last season, coming off of Tavares being Tavares, there's nobody else that we can really put there until they've proven it. Because Tavares has proven he is that center.
That's
right?
why he's there now, right?
No, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying because, point per game player, like you said, regression's regression. It's going to happen. But until he's regressed to the point where he's not making those plays and Willie is not benefiting from being on his line, all you need to do is add somebody like Domi or Robertson to that line to bring up the speed down the wings so Tavares doesn't have to do that much. Obviously, he's going to be there for face-offs. He's there for in front of the net, right? He's going to bump out a little bit, but he hasn't regressed enough, in my opinion, to get dropped just yet.
Yeah,
because
I
we
know, I see what
don't
you're
have
saying,
the
yeah.
proper replacement unless Domi kicks it up and starts becoming a second-line center, basically. And, yeah, I think if you put the right people around him, Tavares doesn't need to have that speed, right? Because Crosby's not fast, right? But the people around him are, right? He makes the plays, gets them to the open spaces, and they get the points, and he's there afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if Tavares can just play his role, the role that he's been given since he came here, he's never been for speed, right? He's never been the guy that's going to beat you to the puck and all this type of stuff. But if he can just continue to play his role and be a captain, even though he isn't, and continue to put points on the board and be there on the power play, win faceoffs for us, key faceoffs for us, keep him on that second line, man. I don't want to just see him drop, to be honest. I know I probably said it like 2 weeks ago, put him on the third line, but looking back, like, I kind of regret saying those things because he hasn't regressed enough, in my opinion, to deserve it. That's why I also didn't really agree with the captaincy thing yet. But that's a whole different thing that we've already talked about, right? There's no need to get back into that. But, yeah, I mean...
I think I do see what you're saying. The biggest thing for me is speed-wise, but like you said, if he does his role and the players around him do their roles, it should still be fine. When I said what I said, I didn't mean it like that line's going to be not good because he's slow, right? I was just saying is like we're looking to do something this year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's all up to them.
Yeah.
But just I don't know why they can't, like I know it might get confusing like with lines and stuff, but like I don't know why they just can't do Johnny taking the faceoffs and all that stuff, but then in game transition to like Domi actually playing center, right? But then that gets all confusing and stuff like that. They probably won't do that. Right now, keeping Tavares as your second line center is the smartest thing to do. Because like you said, we don't have anybody that could take out his role right now. It would have been nice to maybe have like O'Reilly or Kadri, but that's a different story.
Off topic quickly, Nazem Kadri's got one of the most underrated highlight reels in the NHL.
It would have been nice to have Kadri right now, but we needed Barry and Kerfoot that are no longer on our team. We had Barry for a year, and Kerfoot wasn't really that great. So he did score a big goal, though.
He did.
He did score a big goal.
He did.
It was a big goal.
He did.
But, yeah, no, there's pros and cons to that. But right now, the smartest thing to do is to just keep him at center. Because again, like we said in every podcast, right now, stay with what works. because the offensive players on this team are the exact same from last year, minus Bertuzzi, and obviously Pacioretty. And I'm talking about like higher ups like Lorenz, obviously.
main guys,
Yeah, the main
yeah.
guys are the same.
Yeah.
Just keep what's been working.
Yeah. No,
Just
absolutely.
stay the same because obviously through the whole core four, you've basically stayed the same. Just stay the same. Be a good regular season team and worry about it come playoff time because really,
What can you do? Yeah. What
can
else
you
can
do?
you do? Yeah.
like I was talking to some buddies yesterday night, and we were just talking about the season and stuff like that, and we're talking about like this team right now. Defensively wise, and we talked about this. Defensively wise, yes, they've upgraded. They got Tana, VOL, right? But offensively, what have we really done? Bertuzzi's gone. Bertuzzi was never that great as we thought he was going to be. But at the end, he kicked it up a notch, right? Whatever. But Pacioretty coming in, even though that is a move we needed and a move we like, he's not... We shouldn't be expecting this guy to put up numbers like he's still with the Habs.
No, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a depth move. He's gonna play good, but the guy's old, right? So when it comes down to it, he's not gonna be like he was 5, 6, 7 years ago, right?
No doubt.
Right. But then other than that, like it's the same team. It's
Yeah.
the same team.
It's all down to Berube to kick these guys into gear, man.
Yeah.
Like you can. It's not about the players. It's how you control the players. And like we talked about, like I think Keefe controlled the players and like, oh, you're right. You made a mistake. Do better next time. Berube's not going to give you a next time. Well, he will, but you know what I mean.
No,
Like,
I know
he's
what you
going to
mean.
rip
Yeah,
into you
he's-
until that
yeah.
next time doesn't exist. Right? There's
that's
going to
the-
be no next time.
That's the thing. We've seen it before. Like Keefe, when he's called out some of our top players, the next day he's had to trace his words back and say, I actually didn't mean that. Like that's not. I did not like that when he did that. I'm sure you remember what I'm talking about. A coach shouldn't be able to do that.
No.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, these guys run the core four run the team and stuff." To an extent, but I don't really think. I think that's more of just Keefe being the coach he is, being a player's coach. Probably said that players didn't like it. I think if Berube did that and the players didn't like it, say, "Buddy, screw you."
Yeah, literally.
You made a mistake. I'm gonna call you out for it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And that's what a good coach does.
I'm not apologizing to the media saying, yeah, Nylander or Matthews didn't play good tonight.
Yeah.
You didn't play good.
Yeah.
Like, just take it.
There's no
right?
regrets. Berube's going
Exactly.
to give them to them like they need to hear it, not how they want to hear it, but how they need to hear it. Because, well, you know, he's led his teams. He's led his teams in the past. He's led great teams in the past. He's led cup-winning teams. So, everything is now in his hands. We need the players to be in the mindset of, like we always talk about, playoff hockey all year. I want to see playoff hockey all year. I want to see physical battles. I want to see net front battles.
Game 6 all year.
I
I
want Game 6 all year because we don't win Game 7.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be hard, obviously, coming off of Keefe to this whole new system, whole new idea of how to play hockey kind of thing, right? Because you went from players coach to coach. He's not going to sprinkle. He's going to tell you how you need to be, and if you're not like that, I wouldn't even be surprised if we see some changes. Obviously, not the big guys, but like some actual other changes. Because he's just like, the players are just not getting with it, and he's like, you can't be here.
Well, he started off good already because Liljegren should be benched.
Yep.
Or Liljegren should not play, and he's not playing him.
Yep.
So he's starting off good. If you don't play good, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
Right? It's none of this, oh, well, he didn't play good this game, but we'll try him. Like, I remember Keefe sometimes, like, somebody would have just a stinker, lay a stinker. Well, I'll use Justin Hall as an example. Just lay a stinker of a game. Terrible. Like a minus, 5 on the night or whatever. And he's playing the next game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if the defenseman is worse than Hall that you're bringing up that would replace him. Play somebody else.
Yeah.
Hold accountability. That's the biggest thing. Hold accountability to these players. If you were not going to play good, then you're not going to play. Now, again, if one of the big guys has a bad game, which is bound to happen, I'm not using this as an example where it's going to happen all the time, where it's just like, yeah, you're not playing the next game. You got to get benched. And then we bring up Alex Nylander. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when accountability comes into place, Berube will do a way better job than Keefe did. Either if it's taking a guy out of the lineup or calling him out in the media and talking to him about it and just doing all that stuff. Because I think Keefe, even though I say the same thing about him being a player's coach, him being a little softer on the players, which is true, he still did things that a coach that I think Berube would also do. Like, he said stuff like, I don't know if you watched it, the new Face Off documentary on Amazon Prime.
I haven't started.
I only
haven't started
watched the
whole thing. I've
Nylander
just
one.
started,
I only watched the Nylander one.
Yeah.
And in the locker room, now it's not a lot, but he says things that I would want a coach to say, right? Like, he said, for example, I don't want to spoil too much if anybody's not watched it, but I'll say this. Game 7, he basically said, he's like, guys, we haven't beat Swayman on a clean shot the whole series. Shoot the puck, put the puck on net, get guys drive the net. And he said it nice. I'm like, damn. That's good. Like, even though the All or Nothing series when we played Montreal, like, he did a good job in those moments. But overall, I think Berube will bring it all of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if it is there more consistently, these players will understand. Not just in the big moments.
No, for
If
sure.
it's game 23 of the season and we lose 5-1 to Ottawa and none of our guys play good, Berube needs to rip these guys to shreds.
And he will. Not needs
he
to.
will.
He will. That's
He
the
will.
thing.
He will do it.
Right? Like, I don't know, like, Keefe, like you said, he did that in Game 7. What happened game 1 through 6? Right? Where was that same... Okay, yeah, Game 7's last game, you're fighting for that final, final win, right? But you can't just play well in Game 7. You can't just start putting pressure on them in Game 7, right? And I think the players' coaches thing is why we saw that issue with Matthews, Nylander, and Marner, where Marner threw his gloves and everything, because Matthews and Nylander were telling him off, right? He hasn't had that from the coach, right? Now he's getting it from the two best players alongside him, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't experienced it. Obviously, they had Babcock, but Babcock was above and beyond.
But you know what the thing is with Babcock is, I was going to say that before. I was going to say the thing with Babcock is, even though, he was one of the hardest-nosed coach, but they were also young.
Very.
Right? They weren't developed as they are now. Matthews wasn't scoring 60, 70 goals. Nylander and Marner weren't getting close to 100 points. They're different players than when Babcock was teaching them. And the whole thing, teach them young. But when they're developed players now and they've been in the Keefe system for a couple of years now, more than a couple of years, that is what they're doing now, right? So, again, Babcock, they were young. The team wasn't as good as they are now, even though they should have done better than they did in those years. But Berube coming in will do wonders, I think, to these guys. Now, again, they got to prove it in the ice.
Yeah.
Because if they have an 120-point regular season, they finish second or first in the division, and they lose in the first round again, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it means
Right?
absolutely
Nothing matters. Everything, all of our podcasts to that game that we get eliminated in the first round will mean nothing. Literally nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's the same exact thing no matter if we get a new coach, get a new captain, all that stuff. It will mean nothing.
And then now we're going to be questioning what the heck we got to change again, right?
But that's what I'm saying. But you know what I said before is the thing is, what's going to change because Marner's a free agent.
Yeah.
Tavares
is a free agent as well. Yeah.
Tavares, I don't know what's going to happen with him. Shanahan is gone.
Yeah.
So I want these guys to win so bad.
I know.
But if we lose again, that's the change you're going to get. And this time, you will get it because you have no choice.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think before we end this podcast, we didn't talk about who's starting. I'm guessing it's Joseph Wall starting tomorrow, right?
Wall will probably get the net, yeah.
I'm very, very hyped for Wall. I'm very, very hyped for Stolarz.
Every
very
time
hyped for
Stolarz plays,
Stolarz.
man, I'm telling you, man.
I'm very,
telling
very
you,
hyped for
Stolarz
him.
is going to be. We have the best backup in the league right now, in my opinion.
No, in your opinion, he was the best backup in the league last season. And he very well could be. I'm not saying we're going to have an all-Mark Swayman duo, right? But we very well could. Like, very well.
From the flea market.
Yeah.
All Mark Swayman from the flea market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Timu,
From
Allmark
yeah,
Swayman.
Timu, yeah.
Timu, Allmark, and Swayman. But, Stolarz is... I like him. I'm very excited to see how well he performs because, I don't know, Wall kind of looked iffy a little bit especially the last game and the first game that I watched. He just looked that little bit iffy, like he's still kind of nursing something or too scared. And when you're a goalie, you can't be scared, right? Now, we both hope that Wall has a great season. But like you also said last week, if Stolarz has to play, I'm not worried.
Yeah, I have full confidence in Stolarz.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, I have
Now-
full confidence in Stolarz.
This isn't going to be a big topic, but they said that Matt Murray is going to be our third string. Please, God, no. Please, God, no. Like, I don't want to. I can't
know you were.
stress this.
I know
enough.
you were praying for him to get picked up on waivers. I know you
Oh
were
my
praying because I was
gosh.
too.
Oh, he got sent down, and I was like, please.
Yeah,
please,
he'll
please.
probably be the third string. I think if he did get claimed, like the Leafs probably would have been all over, like getting Jones back or something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just not talk about it and hope for the best. Like he's gonna stay with the Marlies because our top two are gonna play. If he's the third string, again we've talked about this. I'd rather see Hildeby come up, but I know in a veteran's presence kind of way, if you're gonna bring up a guy, even though he's not that great,
He's
Murray,
got 2 cups.
Exactly right. Murray's gonna bring that veteran presence, even though he doesn't have a glove side. But but that's okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't have to play though.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to touch on real quick before we end it is I just want to know your thoughts on Easton Cowan going back to London because that's probably one of the bigger moves the Leafs have made in the past week. Just because
Well, I think we kind of talked about it.
We talked about it
bit
last time,
week.
but now
So we're
he's
not gonna-
actually down.
Yeah,
Like,
so we're not
he's-
going to go too far into it because my point's still the exact same.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do. Send him back down. He's not that he's not ready for the NHL. Don't get me wrong, right? Because small sample size kind of thing, but he's not ready for the NHL.
Well, yeah, the thing is, I was going to say is like when you say that, yeah, I know what you mean by that, but it is also that he's not ready for the NHL.
Yeah, he's just
you
not
saw
ready.
him. It's not that he played bad, but the thing is for how our roster is set up right now, again, no room, and you could send him down to London.
Yeah.
Let him London. The only thing is that I heard on the radio a couple of times this morning and just when he got loaned down back to London is that it's just another year of development
in the same
and
place.
London
Yeah.
doesn't really help him too much. But again,
yeah.
you have no choice.
Yeah, there's
So-
no option. There's no reason to waste a year of his contract
Yeah.
bringing
Right.
him up to not play, right? Like,
So he's gonna have another great season with London. He's gonna finish hopefully around 100 points and stuff. Maybe win MVP again because he's a great player.
oh yeah.
But it's just I was really hoping to see him as a Leaf, but I knew inside my brain and my heart wanted him to play, but the back of my brain, the back of my heart, I'm like I don't think he's ready yet. Plus we don't have enough space.
Yeah, it's
sending him down
understanding.
is a
It
great move.
was kind of like with Robertson the 2 years before, where you're like, you want him to play and you think he's good enough to play, but there's always that kind of guy who's over him.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sometimes deserved, sometimes not deserved.
Yeah.
But I think it was the right move.
Yeah.
Send him back, let him rip it, because he's gonna rip it. Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if he starts ripping it, you get an injury, call him up maybe. Because I think you can play, 15, 20 games before it actually counts as a contract
10?
year?
I think it's
10?
10.
10 games before it counts as a contract
But
year.
I don't know if you could loan him back. Like if he's loaned to London,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can bring him back up after that though. When the season starts, I'm not 100% on that, but I
Mm. Yeah.
think you can't do that.
Well, if that's not the case, then that's not the case. But if that is the case, you kind of have that ability to do so.
That's why I wish we did a Minton experiment. But again, like we said, Minton had space on the team. Cowan doesn't.
Yeah.
So you can't really do that. There's no point.
Yeah, we both started this, especially the podcast, wanting to see him play, but it's roster full and just give him more time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
There's no rush for him.
I think maybe this is gonna sound really weird if I say this, but I think maybe under Keefe he might have performed a little bit better, just because players coach. And obviously, I'm not saying I don't know the coaching staff at London and how their development is, but I would think maybe it's a little bit more similar, right? Because you're not playing in the league yet. Obviously, you're getting prepared for the league, but they still kind of want the players to be the players. So maybe having that players coach would have benefited him more in the preseason. But under Berube, he's not worthy of a roster spot. And it's not worth getting rid of that year of his contract.
Well,
for
that's
him,
what I'm saying, right?
Right? For him to play maybe
Yeah.
20, 30 games? I don't think
It's
he'll
not
play
worth
more
it.
than that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Smart move on the Leafs to just do what everybody at the back of their minds thought would happen, right?
yeah, it was the right play. It was
Yeah, right,
kind of
so-
necessary. First game of the season's tomorrow in Montreal. Puck drop at 7 p.m. at Le Centre de Bell.
Le Centre de Bell.
Let's hope the Leafs get a win because they also play on Thursday. And
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah,
So,
so there's a couple of games that we'll be able to probably cover in the
next episode we'll have
podcast, so.
3 games to talk about and
good.
whatever heck else happens throughout the league.
Yeah, so you'll either see us very mad the next time or you'll see us very happy, but
Yeah.
not too happy because, just 3 games into the season, but hopefully it's the happy one.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that's going to be it for today. Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
I'm good.
I think that's going to be it for today.
good.
Again, thank you for Mitch and
thanks
Austin for
thanks
joining
being
us
here,
again.
guys.
Probably going to change the jerseys for next week just to get a rotation going. But Thank you for watching the Leave the Lights On podcast with your host, Nicholas Principe.
And Luca Tersini.
Follow us on Instagram at LTLO_podcast. Follow me on Instagram at @_NP2904.
And me at Luca.Tersini_7. I think that's what it is.
And if it's not,
I'm sorry.
if it's not, check the Instagram bio.
Just check
you know
it yourself.
the Instagram.
You know what it is. You do it
got
yourself. You do it yourself.
Thank you for watching episode 4 of the Leave the Lights On podcast. Wow, it's getting a tongue twister every week. Thank you for watching episode 4.
We're excited.
We are very excited
for tomorrow.
Season.
For real.
Thank you for watching episode 4. We'll see you again next time.
See ya.
Take it easy, guys.